From bioengineering to stablecoins, cloning to space travel. This is Building the Future Together, where tomorrow's technology becomes today's conversation.
Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, man.
I'm glad to have you.
Me
Finally,
too.
I guess we can start off. Maybe you introduce yourself, and then we'll get right to the conversation.
Absolutely. Name is Akili Polee, the CEO, founder of USDT Global Wallet, also known as G Wallet. We're an organization based out of Colombia. Been in the space for a long time. Excuse the messaging in the background. Let me see if I can mute that out. Okay, there we go. Um, and we started our launch probably February of this year. But this was a spinoff from our parent company, which is called DFIX, which is a decentralized finance exchange, which has worked with a mass variety of other different projects in the past. And now we're here. So our nodes just got released maybe a couple weeks ago. Not a big amount of users, but we have about 40 to 41,000 users right now. We'll probably hit 150,000 users. Excuse me. We'll probably hit 150,000 users before April because of a new bargaining system we're about to use.
What do you want to elaborate on the bargaining system?
On the which part?
The one you just mentioned.
On our marketing system. So
Marketing.
what we're going to be using realistically is just a referral-based system. We're releasing kind of like a point system token that we'll release probably like in 3 weeks. And so for every person who creates a wallet, they're going to get 25 GTX tokens. And if you refer someone and they have their first transaction, you're going to get 50 GTX tokens as well. These tokens are used as a point system, so that you can redeem your points or your tokens for our actual nodes, and then our nodes pay out monthly or weekly in our revenue share system that we have internally within our wallet.
So you have your own blockchain then?
We do not have our own blockchain. We are working on 3 blockchains at one time.
But I guess you're chain agnostic, the wallet, or is it just multi-chain?
It's a
Like
multi-chain. Yeah, it's a multi-chain centralized wallet. But originally, the original project was completely decentralized. But in order for us to do some of the technology that we needed to do, we had to be centralized. And so, because of obviously you've been in the space for a long time, a lot of the changes that happened this year, specifically on Android and with Apple, if you're a centralized wallet, you have to have all this stuff now. So since we have to have all this stuff, and it costs, as you know, it costs millions of dollars if you want to be licensed in a variety of different countries. So it puts a limit on new products to be able to come out. So we decided to release our decentralized wallet, which was originally created in 2021. And so we're doing a reskin of that original wallet, and then adding new features like a swapping and a variety of other different things that'll come out throughout next year. So our decentralized wallet will be available on Android and iOS probably by March. But our centralized wallet, which is being used right now by over 40,000 users, has been in existence for about 45 days now.
So what are you using for security for the wallet?
Security on which end? On the decentralized side?
Well, actually on the transaction end.
On the transaction side?
So one of the things you just mentioned as far as the cost of having the wallet and building out the wallet is actually the security features.
Yeah, security is
not just the licenses.
Oh yeah. Security gets expensive as well. So we actually just had we've had probably about 25 attempts for hacks in the last few months. But the guy who's in charge of our cybersecurity is actually one of the guys that's behind Pixar, Disney Pixar. So, and then we have a pretty vast team behind that. So we were able to catch everything before anything happened on the last hack attempt. But we're introducing not just a 2FA, but like a 3FA system. So our 3FA system, which will happen is not only do you when someone tries to log into an account, you have to have your OTP with your email, but also you have your OTP that'll be given to you through Telegram and or WhatsApp. So that integration should be done in the next 45 to 60 days. And it's just to create another layer of protection behind every single user, right? Um, and then on our end, as far as the centralized system for the company, we've put in so many limitations on what can be done. So like even if I was to log into like our admin panel, I can't log in, even though I'm the owner and the CEO, the founder, right? I have to have other people log in at the same time in order for me to be able to log in. So no one can have access to anything when it comes to higher security unless there's a variety of other people that are doing it at the same time. And they'll have to have their special login as well in order for anyone to do anything.
Now, is that because it's a centralized wallet, so it works more like a centralized exchange?
Correct.
Now, one of the things I'm sure you being in the tech space know that quantum hacks and quantum computers and quantum programs are coming, and they're coming a lot sooner than most people think. One of the things that, as you may be aware of, my company is working on is a patent for quantum signature for transactions.
Yeah.
And the reason we're working on that in XYRA is because we believe, based on what I see in the space, is that like maybe 2 years from now at most, we're going to start to see quantum hacks. And then it doesn't matter how many factor indications you have and all that stuff. Your password is getting cracked, your keys are getting unlocked because it's infinite scaling of computation.
Correct.
That's already, I mean, they already bridged, the first computer programs coming out like in the next 6 months with this. They already have a bridge from qubits to regular bit computers like now.
Right.
And so what are you doing there?
So our next key that we're going to do for security is basically our biometric systems, right? So that probably won't get released until probably towards the end of next year, fourth quarter, just because the amount of tech that has to be involved into integrating that to every single user, right? But luckily we're in our beginning stage, so it's a lot easier for us to implement biometrics being in a brand new wallet versus someone like Exodus or someone of that matter, whoever else is out there, because they have millions of users. So to integrate biometrics on a larger scale would take them much longer than it is for us because we're a startup. And so being a startup is a lot easier to infiltrate and bring in these other forms of security with only 40 to 42,000 users versus someone who has 5 million users, right? And so making sure that we can bring in this technology at an early stage before we do eclipse into that 1 million mark is essential for us to do at the very beginning. Also because obviously cost. The more users you have when you're trying to bring in more tech, the higher cost it is as well.
And monetization wise, are you guys making money whenever people transact or move the money around in the wallet?
Correct. So right now, the company, we don't earn on the transaction. Our node holders do. And so we're using our operational costs for any new tech. And then the company we have our own nodes that we're not releasing, just for the sake of making sure that our node holders can receive a certain amount of revenue shares. And then probably like year 2, year 3, that's when we'll start to release our own personal nodes in the system. So that way we can generate income for the companies to keep operation moving. But we have a decent amount of funds from our node purchasers who have helped us get to where we're at right now. And so there's no reason for us to release our own nodes, because once we release our own nodes, that'll dwindle down the amount of revenue share that's given out to our current node holders.
Now, you also mentioned you're centralized. Does that mean you have on and off ramps?
So we are introducing our on and off ramp using a P2P, probably around April or May of next year. I don't want to be too aggressive and say March, March is kind of the goal that I want to get to, but realistically, it'll probably be around like April or May of next year. So our on and off ramp will allow people from almost any country to buy and sell or whatever whenever they need to, right? And then our fees for transferring from user to user is minimal. Like the most expensive fee is like $1. And so it doesn't matter the amount that you're sending. We try to keep the amount as small as possible to allow people to utilize what crypto is really used for, and for the true essence for what it was for in the beginning, which was for the transfer of funds.
Yeah, payments.
Yep.
So you have MTLs already?
We have some MPLs that's also being released in the second quarter. So our MPLs, which is probably going to be more utilized for our merchant users. And so, I mean, you're very well knowledgeable around like the Latin American community. And that's our focus also is Latin America. So Latin America and Southeast Asia, and very specifically Western Africa and Eastern Europe, because those are the areas that have been disenfranchised over the years when it comes to technology. And so by us focusing on that, and like right now I'm in the Philippines, I can walk down the street and it's probably, I don't know, 50 merchants that could probably utilize this, so that they can only use certain types of things when it comes to using cash. So, but this is the Philippines, it's full of foreigners, but foreigners, they don't always have access to exchanging out their funds for the currency here, which is the Philippine peso. And so it's very easy for us to onboard these small organizations to start to accept crypto as a form of payment, and then having something on the back end using our PDP, so that way if they actually need to have physical currency in their local currency, they can off ramp into whatever it is that they have in their country.
Mhm. And are you looking to do like partnerships with people and
Um,
companies?
so yeah, so there's a big organization out of Serbia. And I don't want to say any names yet, but we have about 5 or 6 of these very specific companies that we're going to be working with. And this is probably going to help us get to, like, our goal is 150,000 users by March, April. But I feel very strongly that we'll get to the million user mark with our partnerships with these other organizations, mainly because I have focused, or not focused that, but I have accidentally worked in the iGaming industry for the last 3 or 4 years, and I've spoken probably at like 30, 40 conferences worldwide. And their biggest issue is onboarding and offboarding when it comes to funds as well. And so this very specific organization, they are an operator. And so with them and their ties with a variety of different things, that's why we're going to Sigma. We're doing like 3 Sigmas this next year. Um, that will help us get to the number that we need to, because these organizations need to have this type of technology because they cannot offboard off to their users. And by them integrating with us and creating a partnership with us, um, it allow us obviously to reach the amount of users that we need, but then it also helps them probably save, $50 to $100,000 that they would normally spend on gas fees paying out to their users.
Hmm. Yeah, we should talk about that because I have access to a lot of users as well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I know you and I, we've been in talks for so many
I
different
know,
things
years.
last years. Um, but I know there's a lot of synergy that both of us, you and I have, and a lot of it is based off of my parent company, which is Defix, and what you guys were doing previously. There was a lot of things that were very similar. We just couldn't figure out how to get the both organizations to work with each other. But I think with us removing what we were doing previously and focusing strictly on one thing, and that was creating a payment system that can be utilized globally, and only focusing on that, I think that allows all of the outside things to not interfere with my focus. And so
Mhm.
that will, at that point, we could be like, hey, Anton, we were working on this, you can have this. And that's pretty much where it's going to end up going, because there's a lot of projects that we were given specifically out of Southeast Asia that I didn't take on. And so
Mhm.
at this point, it's almost to the point where I'm not, I don't want to say any names or any countries over on this podcast, but it's one of the countries that we had talked about where I could just be like, hey, you know what, we already have it here. You can have it now. So
Mhm.
obviously there's a lot of things that we can do moving forward.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's great. What was I say? What do you think about I don't know, generally, like how do you feel about where technology is heading and how it's affecting people's lives, and not just in payment space, but in general? Do you see in Philippines a lot of people adopting the AI, crypto stuff?
To be honest, I believe that AI is going to cause a financial crisis here in the Philippines. And here's my
Really? That's
yeah, absolutely. Um, here's my reason. Here's my reasoning. Let's think about a few things. Specifically in the States, right? In the States, let's just talk about probably the top 10 largest companies that's in tech. Okay.
Mhm.
Microsoft, Amazon, um,
Google,
we
Facebook, yeah.
yeah, Google, Facebook, and now let's go even deeper. Let's go into banking and the finance. Chase, Wells Fargo,
City,
uh, Citibank, um, US Bank.
BlackRock.
Yep. Oh, we won't go BlackRock because I don't know if BlackRock's here. T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, right? So I probably rambled off like 12 companies.
Hmm.
Their customer service is based here in the Philippines. I'm probably I'm probably less than 3 kilometers away from the T-Mobile headquarters, Chase, and Bank of America right now at this very moment, right? And they have thousands of employees that work there. Now, as we move forward, this is where the economy for the Philippines comes from, is from the
Call
service that
centers.
bingo, the service that the US market gets is from the Philippines, right? It's
Hmm.
either the Philippines, or I mean there's some locations in Latin America, but Filipinos just they speak better English. I'm just get straight to the point, right? Yes, if it's tech, it's probably going to go to India, but when you're talking about cost and keeping and trying to drive costs down for these big organizations, they have to outsource. If they're trying to satisfy their
Shareholders.
yeah, the shareholders, right? Now with the new um, AI that's coming out, and then also with the um, I don't sway left or right when it comes to politics, but based off of the new cabinet that's there right now and the new regulations that's going out right now in the U.S., I feel that's going to squeeze the Philippines a lot because they're obviously trying to move jobs back into the U.S. But you move these jobs back to the U.S. and you have to pay these people, let's say $25 an hour plus tax plus blah 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 blah. You're probably looking at about $35 per hour versus here you get outsourced to a big organization and you're paying direct to these organizations maybe $12 an hour. Now you're increasing the cost by times three. So that's going to if you're going to shut that off here in the Philippines, that's going to squeeze probably 100,000 jobs, right? Then on top of that, if you're talking about like all the virtual assistants that are here and you're starting to use AI, I personally know people right now here that are getting squeezed already with AI. So if these people get squeezed with AI already, and these
Hmm.
guys, these are people who write content for corporations. Now these corporations are like, okay, wait, I don't need 10 writers no more. I need 3 writers that know how to use AI,
Hmm.
right? And so
Yeah.
that'll squeeze it. Now, if you're talking about if there's 10,000 writers, and I could be wrong, but I'm going to assume, and I'm probably pretty accurate, that there's over 10,000 writers here in the Philippines that write content for organizations all throughout the world. You're talking about going from 10,000 to 3,000. That's 7,000 jobs. Boom, gone right away. And we're talking
Yeah, and
about
they're not getting replaced.
they're not going to get replaced ever again,
Yeah.
right? And we're talking about 100,000 people who work as call centers, and that's probably a very low amount. It's probably more so around 300, 400,000. I don't know the numbers right now. We could probably Google it or use ChatGPT to figure it out. But
You just ask AI.
right, just ask AI, right? We were talking about going from 300,000 users or 300,000 people who are outsourced from
Hmm.
US organizations and probably bringing that down to 50,000. You just dismantled over 250,000 jobs right away. What happens to the market?
It collapses.
Bingo. And
Hmm.
it's already collapsing in the north, which is Manila. I'm in Cebu right now, which is the south. in Manila is already collapsing in the real estate because of all the Chinese companies that had to be pushed out because of illegal gambling websites they were building. And that was over 150, 200,000 people that had to get this, that had to move out. And all those companies fell apart, right? And so you're starting to see this squeeze in certain geographical locations in the Philippines. But once AI is truly being used, it's gonna just completely dismantle these things. I have a close friend of mine. She owns a company who does content for legal content for a variety of different countries around the world. And she has about 70, 80 employees. But the problem is that AI is causing problems for her because now these companies are saying, oh, wait, we don't need you no more. We can go use this and find someone or find another organization who has an employee who's knowledgeable with AI, and now we don't need to pay your five people that we're paying you X amount of dollars for, and we can only use one to create this content for us in another language. So she's about to
Yeah.
get squeezed. So she's scrambling right now, trying to find out what she needs to do in order to stay afloat and figure out if she needs to go to AI, which I told her she needs to. We actually tomorrow we have a meeting to just kind of discuss about that kind of stuff. But she's going to have to figure this out because she's going to get displaced, her whole organization. So it's going to be mandatory for her to lower down her employees and make sure her employees know how to use AI.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I mean, I've one of the things that we've offered was because we built AI into our systems for everything basically now.
Right.
It's just so much easier, and we're generating a lot more content and writing 10 times more code with a
Mhm.
team a fraction of the size of what we used to have
Yeah.
for everything. And it's and I wasn't because I had teams in Latin America. We weren't even paying, our salaries were not crazy grand, 2 grand a month, but now it's
Mhm.
like, well, that or $20 for the month,
Mhm. Mhm.
even though it's
Mhm.
not such a huge deal, but it still makes a big difference,
Yeah, absolutely
especially
does.
when you scale it to big numbers.
Right.
It's millions of dollars.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, Currently right now we are in the midst of recreating our dashboard, and this is going to be our first time using code for our dashboard. And the team was able to recode our entire new dashboard in a matter of like 72 hours, just using
Hmm.
AI, right?
Yeah.
Granted, AI doesn't catch everything, but because they're coders, they're able to catch it and reduce the time that would normally take us 2 to 3 months and reduce it down to 3 days, 4 days.
Yeah.
They had to look over it and make sure the code is written properly and then do their test, which is insane. We just
Hmm.
squeezed 2 to 3 months down to 3 to 4 days, which is remarkable. I mean, the testing is still going to take like a week to make sure the code is written properly by AI because AI still makes mistakes. But at least it almost gets you there. You're not going to get 100% with AI, but you're going to get 90% of the way there.
Yeah, no, I know. But we've been doing that also, and yeah, like you said, it's not perfect yet. I think it's like 80% all right.
Hmm.
Especially for small things, for like single purpose
Oh,
applications,
yeah.
AI just
Oh, yeah.
takes care of it.
Yeah.
But if you want
Yeah.
to do something complex, you still need to know how to code. You still need to have some
Right.
professionals. But
Correct.
again, I think a couple more years, and that'll be gone.
Yeah.
And
And that's
then
scary.
it's like you don't need to know how to code. You just need to know how to write in English.
Yeah.
That's it. which which is going to be a big problem pretty soon because all the kids are outsourcing their brains to AI as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's a scary thing to think about. My son, my son who's at the University of Oregon, he was the youngest person in the country who had a master's certification in cybersecurity, and he got it like at 16 years old, right? So that was almost 6 years ago. No, it was 6 years ago when he got it. Um, and so he got to U of O for computer engineering, computer science. And at the time, I thought, okay, that's perfect, that's good, because like tech is not going away. But now it's like, wait, hold on, tech can be taken over by AI. So it's almost
mhm.
it's a fear there that AI could potentially replaced so many jobs in the tech field where for the last few decades, tech is where it was safe
Yeah.
for job opportunities.
Safe and good paying.
Right.
Like all over the world. I mean, we had teams in Ukraine a couple of years ago, and they
Hmm.
weren't that much cheaper than the US guys. They
Right.
were cheaper, but compared
Right.
to the cost of living in Ukraine and the cost of
Right.
everything versus
Mhm.
let's US, they weren't like half the price.
Right. I mean,
But
with
it's
Ukraine,
not even half. It's like a fifth of the price.
yeah. I mean, you worked with Ukraine. I've worked with Ukraine. Like, obviously, in the blockchain field, Ukrainians are amazing. Um,
Yeah,
I
not
put the
after the war though. After the
Yeah,
war,
right
everything
now,
kind of went to shit.
it's chaotic. It's really hard to find
Yeah.
Ukrainian developers. If use a lot of them are displaced out and they're in other countries, at least the good developers. Um, but yeah, man, it's like Ukraine has always pumped out really good developers, specifically in the blockchain community.
Yeah.
But sad, they're getting
How do you
displaced
feel
because
about tokenization? You guys been
I
doing
think
anything there?
for years, almost a decade, I felt like tokenization is where we are going to go for almost everything that we can possibly think of. I
We're
don't think there's
doing that
going to be,
now.
huh?
But that's happening now in the US.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I strongly feel there's almost nothing that we can think of right now that cannot be tokenized. Nothing. I don't care what it is. A corporation can be easily tokenized, um, or you can use a node distribution or something of that matter that shows proof of ownership. Because you can back up a share by node. Like, okay, I
Mhm.
own 10 shares. Okay, I have 10 nodes. So you can go one to one from node to a share. And essentially a node is a tokenization, right? And so there's nothing I can think of right now that cannot be tokenized.
Are you
Nothing.
guys doing that to payments?
That's how we pay out our revenue share is from node distribution.
Okay. So they are technically tokenized payments.
Correct.
Okay.
Um, we're working on something right now with a travel company. We probably won't release that till like July or August. Actually, after this podcast with you, I have a meeting with them, where they're going to tokenize a like 3 Airbnbs, and they have their own travel company already. They've been in existence for like 3 or 4 years, but now they want to start to buy properties so they can rent those out on top of their own um, collective, I guess you say, real estate that they already have and the property that they're interchange with. But it makes sense, right? If they have a property that they have acquired, they tokenize it because now you can get funds from anywhere in the world if
Hmm.
it's tokenized. Um, and it's easier to raise funds if it's tokenized because you can
Well, if it's
distribute
compliant,
the
yeah.
yeah, if it's compliant, right? But you can easily distribute the share of that project to every said individual, without having to go through the big hoopla stuff, doing wire transfers and blah 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 blah. All that stuff is cut off.
Hmm. I know. That's why I'm in the space. We were
Yeah.
just me and you
Mhm.
were a bit too early.
Yeah,
Now
yeah,
everybody's
yeah,
catching up to it.
yeah, yeah. It's the bill. I mean, the billionaires can play because they have the money, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, us small guys, the 7-figure guys, we're considered small. It's the
Right.
10-figure guys that can do anything that they want because they have endless amounts of money.
But that's why I got into quantum this year because I figured, I was early into tokenization blockchain,
Hmm.
but I think quantum, it took almost a decade for crypto and tokenization to take a hold of the world. I don't think quantum is going to take that long. AI, I mean, look how fast that happened in 2 years. I think
Yeah,
quantum, once it hits, it'll be there in 6 months
because quantum's so much faster.
because it's infinitely fast.
Yeah, you can't. There's nothing. It's almost scary fast.
Yeah. So I say to people, it's like, well, if you think AI took your job, quantum will take your life.
Yeah, seriously. Um, because you dude, it's you're taking this to a level of where sci-fi becomes reality,
Yeah.
right? If you look at the history of all of the super blockbuster movies, from it's gonna sound silly, but like uh, Men in Black, right? Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what other crazy sci-fi movies can we think of?
Star Wars,
Yeah, Star Wars,
Star
Star
Trek.
Trek, right? And so if you look at some of these movies that were built from as early as the mid 80s until the mid
Star Trek
2000s.
is 60s.
Oh yeah, Star Trek is even further back. Yeah,
Star
it's
Trek
true.
is way back.
Yeah, but think about those things, right? We're talking about like Star Trek when it comes to like moving something from one point to another point. Um, and where the like Chinese developers are at that point where they're trying to find out ways to move a product from one area to another area using quantum to move something with space.
Well, they've already done experiments and proven that it's possible to do quantum teleportation using quantum fields, but it only works for photons right now. So
Mhm.
it's not anything. Technically,
But
photon is energy, not physics, not matter.
but
But
look what
that
you
can be
just said.
done. And
But look
quantum
what you
already has dual positioning as part of
wait,
its nature.
wait, wait a minute, wait a minute. Listen to what you just said. That's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
Right. So if they're doing it right now, and the mass majority, 99.9% of people don't even know about that, right? But they're doing it right now. It's something that most people can't even conceptualize.
Hmm.
Imagine we're using quantum. Imagine what's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, we might have teleportation.
Right.
I mean,
Um,
the
we're
energy
probably not
that
going
it
to see it for like
takes.
decades from now. It'll be decades
Right.
from now. But the the fact that we can think about this and it's taken decades to get to where we're at, but we're right there. We're in the beginning phase. And the crazy thing is, I remember in my earlier years, like in my early blockchain years, 2014, 2013, they were speaking in like Shenzhen or something like that. And I explained to people the advancement of technology. It doubles every 4 years. If you're thinking about that, if it doubles every 4 years, the reality is now it doesn't even double every 4 years. I feel like it doubles every 2 years
Like
because
it doubles every day.
it's scary, right? So
Yeah.
like so coincidentally, like think about this. 2001. 2001 was the kind of the introduction of like the USB flash drives, right? And
Yeah.
you could buy a 256 megabytes flash drive. That's like not
Yeah,
even
it's
the
a
size,
regular flash drive.
right?
They're all the same
Right.
size.
And that was considered big. That means you could 256 megabyte, you could fit what is that? 20 albums, right?
Yeah.
And that was considered big. When we first got to like half gig, full gigs, it took that time frame 2 year or 2 to 4 years to increase. Now you can get a 2 terabyte the size of this.
Hmm.
Right? So we're talking about from 256 megabytes to 2 terabytes. It's a million times bit larger. Is it a million times larger?
I mean, do you remember floppy disks in the 80s and
Oh yeah.
90s?
What
Those
was
were
flop?
kilobytes. They
It was
weren't
kilobytes.
megabytes. They're
Right.
kilobytes.
So and that was in the 90s. So from like I remember that. Like I remember in middle school, right? So from
Yeah,
middle
in
school,
middle school, exactly. In middle school, we
yeah,
had
from
the
from
big
floppy drive.
floppy
Yep.
disks,
And oh
exactly.
yeah, the flat ones. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the black flap ones, exactly.
Where basically all you could put on there was maybe a document or two documents
Yeah,
on this little flash drive with a little circle thing in the middle.
yeah,
And to go from there to 2 terabytes, we couldn't even fathom 2 terabytes at that time.
yeah. That was like all of the computers in the world.
Right. And so to think about what has transpired since then, so from the mid 90s to or let's say the early 90s to 2025, as we're approaching 2026, because you and I are about the same age, because you're like in your mid 40s, right?
Early 40s, yeah.
Early 40s. Sorry, I'm in my mid 40s. So Yeah, and it hurts. Trust me, bro. It hurts.
I know, I know.
But when we hit our early 70s, mid 70s, I can't I can't even think of what is going to transpire within those 30 years.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty crazy.
There's no way. There's no way for me to think about where we're going to move as far as a global economy. I'm not talking about the United States. I'm not talking about the Philippines. I'm not talking about Mexico. I'm not talking about any other country. I'm talking about our global economy and what's going to happen globally with technology. We're talking about 30 years. 2 terabytes, probably just smaller than this. We didn't have 2 terabytes across the entire planet.
Hmm.
In 30 years, we've done that. In the next
Yeah,
30 years,
less even.
what is next? Right? And the
Hmm.
only thing next is to look at where we're at right now, the beginning stages of AI, because we're still technically in the beginning stages of AI, the infancy stage. I wouldn't even call this infancy stage. We're still in an embryo stage of quantum.
Yeah, quantum. There hasn't really been any commercial applications yet because
Correct.
that bridge between quantum computers and regular qubit computers, regular
Mhm.
2-bit computers, that only got bridged like a few months ago. Like
Mhm.
I think 2 months ago, actually.
Right.
Literally, that it was in Germany. They had the breakthrough where they were able to communicate a quantum into a regular computer. So it's
Mhm.
just happened, but and they already are working on a programming language that'll come out, I think, in the next couple of months for quantum computers that'll be commercially available. So you can
Scary,
make
bro.
computer programs using quantum computers.
Scary, man. It's
It's
it's it's
insane.
it's so everyone has their own stance when it comes to different different people, right? I like to keep things black and white. I don't know where your stance is on Elon Musk. I have my own stance on a variety of
I
different
like the
things.
guy.
Yeah, I like him. There's certain things I don't like, certain things I do like, and that's with every human being that there is in this planet, right? There's always gonna be something that you
Mhm.
don't like about someone. There's always gonna be something that you like about someone, and so keep things very black and white. Years ago, years ago, he was explaining to the U.S. government. Um, this was like 2017, 2018, and he explained we shouldn't be worried about these regulations. The regulations we should be worried about is AI. This is coming from, in my eyes, everyone can think differently. In my eyes, one of the most intelligent people that has ever landed on this planet or born on this planet.
I'd agree with that. Yeah.
Right? If he is telling us to be fearful of something, that should wake you up and kind of think about it. Fast forward 8 years, 9 years, when he made that statement. Now he owns obviously Gronk. And we're starting to see where AI is taking us.
Hmm.
He warned us beforehand. No one listened to him.
The
And so,
problem, the problem,
but
I think, as smart as he is, he again, I don't know him personally. I know people who work for him and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But from what I've seen, my experience is the way he's a business guy. He's a tech guy. He's not a politics
Correct.
guy.
No, he's
Politics
not.
doesn't work the same way everything else does.
Correct.
Because politics, you have to always, um, it's a mix of human nature versus
Hmm.
like what can I do to stay in this place, to have these people like me, to do the favors, to do this, all I mean,
Absolutely.
I didn't grow up in politics, my wife
Yeah.
did, but I've been in politics and around politics for the last almost a decade now. It'll be a decade in 6 months from now.
Hmm.
And I see that it's like Game of Thrones, that movie,
Yeah.
the show,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
it's like every episode they spend half the episode about political intrigue.
Hmm.
That's politics. It's always
Yeah.
some like, who can I backstab? And
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
is a constantly changing world
Yeah.
that there's no adapting to it,
No.
and it doesn't matter how many rules or laws you make when you have a bunch of people that are kind of looking out for so many different interests, um, and primarily their own, always.
Mhm.
It doesn't matter what laws you have because they're gonna
Yeah.
eventually go with whatever is immediately expedient. Whatever, hey, I can do this today and I can make $1 million today. Okay, I'm gonna look away while you experiment on baby fetuses with AI or whatever. You know, they just it doesn't
Right,
matter
right,
because
right.
there's 195 countries in the world. Okay, if
Yeah.
100 of them say yes or 190 of them say yes, the other five will say, yeah, we don't really give a shit. Come on down. You can do whatever the
Hmm.
hell you want.
Yeah,
And then,
absolutely.
and the guy who follows the rules immediately loses.
Yeah.
And so, okay, you can make a law in America and Europe and the other countries will ratify it. You know who's not going to ratify it? Iran, North
Hmm.
Korea, probably
Hmm.
China, probably
Yeah.
Cuba. And guess
Yeah.
what? There's plenty of people who'll be like, hey, I'm going to go set up shop there because why wouldn't I?
And we see that in so many factors of industries, right? So finance, obviously, people used to go to Singapore, people used to go to Hong Kong. Now people go to these other countries, right? Um, and in tech, right, in blockchain, it's easier to go to certain countries to set up shop in those countries
Mm-hmm.
because of regulations in one country. So you're like, okay, well, I don't want to be here no more because of these regulations. I'll just move my company to the other location where I can still function. And we're going to continue to see that no matter what industry it is.
Yeah.
So it could be working on baby fetuses. Cuba might say, yes, come work on baby fetuses here. And these scientists will be like, well, we can't work on baby fetuses in, I don't know, South
In
Africa.
America or whatever, but
Yeah,
in Europe, they have done human hybrid experiment. Not in Europe, sorry, in China, they have done human hybrid experiments, and
see,
this was like
I didn't.
public information now.
Yeah.
This was not even recent. This was like years ago. I remember
Mhm.
they did an experiment where they mixed like these two twin girls' DNAs, and it was
Uh-huh.
for medical research. They were trying to take a gene for I think like cancer gene or something they were trying to take out, but they put
Mhm.
like animal hybrid DNA into these fetuses that are now humans living in China. And this was
Great.
like 8 years ago. I heard about this already. That was already public that the guy got like
Yeah.
hounded for it, the scientist. But so this was back then. Imagine what they're doing now.
Oh, yeah. It's
I mean,
it
that's just the known stuff.
and that's again to transact back. We're thinking about technology. Technology is not just in like tech as in like cell phones and computers, but in medical technology. The advancement of medical technology and where we can see where it's going. Um, I I strongly believe, and I could be wrong, right? I strongly believe we do have the resources and we do have the technology that's needed to help prevent cancer. Cancer being one of the leading causes of death across the world.
Mhm.
Um, why that information hasn't been dispersed yet, we don't know yet. But I'm very confident that there is multiple different sectors across the world who have the answer to cancer. It just hasn't been streamlined across the world yet. Or maybe there's gatekeepers that are keeping it from entering across the world. I don't know.
So Russia did announce that they have a cancer vaccine. I
Hmm.
think also very recently, maybe a month ago or something.
Uh-huh.
Very recently. But the problem is what you're talking about, medical and curing cancer. There was a drug for hepatitis. I think it was for hepatitis C, just a few years ago, and it was super effective to a point where the company went from multi-billion-dollar revenue one year to
Hmm.
now being almost bankrupt because that drug was too effective. Once you cure somebody, they're
Oh,
not a repeat customer. That's the problem. So.
look, it's sad.
It's sad, but
It's
it's
very sad.
true. You're not in
It's
business
true, right?
you're in business to have money and you know.
I thought about this last night actually. So last night, um, I went for a walk. Actually, I went up to the mountains to kind of like let my space go out, right? So I could just rethink. Well, came back into the city, went for a walk in the city, and there was a gentleman singing, trying to raise money for, I think, like a family member for dialysis, right? And I have a sister, she's on dialysis right now, and she's been on dialysis for years. I have a cousin of mine who passed away from uh, not because dialysis wasn't taken care of long enough. But I feel in that section that there's a cure for people not to have to be on dialysis. But these organizations make billions upon billions of dollars, not for prevention, not for cure, just to keep these people alive.
Yeah, maintenance.
That's sad. But
That's almost every industry though.
yeah, that's greed on the expense of a human beings. And there's
No, but
probably
again, that
yeah.
is almost every industry, except
Mhm.
ironically, except for tech industry, except for software
Yeah.
industry, which is what we're in. Software
Mhm.
isn't really designed to keep it doesn't have a planned obsolescence built into it because
Right.
most of the software updates are free now. Unless you build
Yeah.
video games and you charge for but it's really like add-ons, not the
Mhm.
main game.
Right. Right. And skins
Yeah,
and stuff like that. Right.
yeah,
Um,
but yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
yeah, it
That's why
is.
your car breaks down and needs oil changes and stuff.
Oh
Planned
my God.
obsolescence. Yeah,
Yeah, for sure, man. Um, so I actually have a question for you.
sure.
Where where do you guys see yourself going over the next 6 months to a year?
For which Delnorte or for XYRA?
Let's do it Del Norte.
So we have a bunch of contracts pending right now,
Uh-huh.
private ones.
Hmm.
On the public side, we're gonna go back into the government Q1 of next year.
Hmm.
We have a pending deal with some places in the US as well now.
Hmm.
The tech is done, which is great.
Yeah.
So now it's really just we have a bunch of offers as well on the table.
Hmm.
Um, they are all in negotiation, various phases. But look, Scott Besson, the Treasury Secretary of U.S.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he recently said, and not just him, but a bunch of the big, Larry Fink and all these guys, CEOs of banks,
Mhm.
saying that they're planning to tokenize everything. So we're,
Yeah.
I believe, in a good space there for tokenization because it's just because we have a platform that's ready and we can turn any asset into a tradable security, like you were saying, that anybody from anywhere in the world can own it, share, and buy and trade it. The secondary markets for RWAs are not, they haven't really evolved. Like there's no Coinbase for RWAs yet. There are,
Right.
but they're small still. But I
Right.
think give it a year or two, it's going to be just as big as Binance in that
Yeah.
space. Like it's not just going to be, oh, we can trade Bitcoin and any kind of cryptocurrency.
Right.
It'll be like, oh, we can just go buy a share of the Empire State Building or a share of the Brooklyn Bridge or whatever it is.
Mhm. I,
Like yeah. And I
so
have I have
Mhm.
funny the bridge thing, because people say, oh, if you want to get scammed, you go buy a bridge. But there are, ironically, a lot of governments do fund public projects like bridge building through government bonds, and so that is one asset that is actually one of the most ideal things to be tokenized because,
uh,
as you know, in developing countries, nobody wants to buy manila bonds because the fraud.
no. Right.
This prevents the fraud. So now you actually make it into a quality asset, like a AAA asset in any investment, in any
Hmm.
country's bond.
Hmm.
So
Let me explain the reason why I was laughing. I was laughing because you talked about like bridges, right? Um, and a lot of people don't know this, but I know Trump is releasing the golden visa system. People
Mm-hmm.
want to invest $1 million, et cetera, whatever. But that visa program has always been there
Yeah,
for investors. It's always been there. It's just
I
that
know.
the new golden visa is the magical visa, $1 million, right? But the investor visa has always been there. It
Mm-hmm.
just has increased over the cost has increased over the years. There's a project, I won't name the project, but there's two projects exactly in Seattle. One is a hotel, and the other one is a building that was resold to the Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Big, massive skyscraping project. The entire project all sold to Visa investors out of China. So now that
EB5.
building,
EB5 we're
yep,
talking about, right?
five,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So now that entire building was built by EB5 Chinese investors.
Mm-hmm.
The other is a completely managed and purchased from EB5 Visas, a hotel near probably one of the largest hotel, not hotels, probably one of the largest malls in the country, half a mile away, all built from EB5 visas. This same scenario can now be utilized in rebuilding countries, cities,
Mm-hmm.
variety of other different things from investors across the world. So, I mean, we both have a love for Bukele. Um,
That we do.
I think he's an amazing gentleman. Um, I think what he's done with El Salvador is absolutely phenomenal. The, the next closest person to what he has done is probably Duterte here in the Philippines before he was all the situation that's happening with him and no longer president here in the Philippines. But utilizing this form of investments for countries is going to be not going to be, it is already revolutionizing how countries can rebuild back by bringing in new investors and creating incentives for investors to come into those countries and to restructure certain geographical locations across the world. And it's going to be from tokenization.
Mm-hmm.
Hands
Yeah,
down.
and my other company XYRA, which we're working on the quantum secured payment solutions and tokenized payments. It's the perfect segue because how do you invest? You invest with money, so you need the payment infrastructure. It's one
Mhm.
thing to have the tokenization, but it's another thing to actually be able to pay for it. So
Right.
it's two companies, but they work perfectly in tandem. And uh, and I do strongly believe that. And again, it's not just me. I mean, Vitalik Buterin, Charles Hoskinson, Brock Pierce, all these guys talking about how, yeah, in 2 years we're gonna have quantum hacks, but in 3 years we'll be ready for it. I'm like, wait, so there's a gap over here of all of us losing our money? What the hell? Vitalik's
Oh,
speech was like a month ago. He was talking about that. He was like, "Yeah, we'll be ready in in 2 years. We're gonna start seeing those type of hacks, but we'll be ready in 3 years." I'm like, okay, so should I sell my Ethereum?
oh, hey, sorry for the noise, man. I live right
Nah, I
next
don't even
to
hear nothing.
pretty
Don't
much
worry about it.
the city hall. Like literally, it's like 50 feet from me. So they do a kind of like this announcement, whatever you want to call it, 4 times a day. So it's about 20 seconds. It should die off. Okay, it's over.
Was it like a prayer?
No, no, no. It's just, to be honest, I have no clue what it is. I have zero clue. Zero
Ah,
clue is
but
no clue at
isn't
all.
Philippines is Muslim, right? Or no?
No, it's well, if you're in the South. So I'm in Cebu. Cebu is conquered by Magellan.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it's very Catholic from the Cebu region or Bisaya region all the way up north. When you go south, which is Mindanao, Mindanao is very Muslim, so it's a little bit
Yeah.
different. There's a decent amount of Muslim population here in Cebu, but it's not like Mindanao. Mindanao is very heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Here it's probably I'd say it's probably like 2%.
You practice a lot?
What's that?
Filipino martial arts.
No, no, I don't. My daughter's in Muay Thai. She's
Mm.
10 years. Me? No, I don't. I've
None
never.
of that.
No. I'm not. I was never a martial artist.
A lot or screamer also. What they do was they're fighting with the sticks, the bamboo sticks.
Yeah. But my daughter's in Muay Thai. She's trained by a gentleman who, um, a very known fighter who trained in Thailand for many years. So he trains a lot of the guys here in Cebu.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My 10-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Uh, but no, man. It's I I I can't wait to see what you guys want to do. I know you and I we have a lot of more discussions to have moving forward.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, there's a lot of things that we are introducing over the next few months. A lot of work on our end. My tech team, they're still on vacation mode right now, so
I
giving
know
them.
it pisses me off. Everybody's on vacation. I'm like, I want to work.
Yeah, and that's oh, bro, the travel company today, they're like they're in a weird situation right now. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's create a WhatsApp group, blah, 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 blah. Like, oh, can we wait until the 5th? The 5th, bro, that's in a week. You guys are dying right now.
Yeah, I know.
Let's get to work right now. Like I have, and they're like, what did he say? He told me he was like, there was a word he used. Because I was like, nah, I need to work right now. Um, what did he say? He said, "Oh, I'm tireless." I was like, "Nah, I don't. Yeah, I don't get tired. Like, I love to work.
Yeah, I know. I actually enjoy being productive.
Yeah, I can't sit and wait. What are we talking about? Like,
Right.
I love to work. I can work 80 hours a week, all day long, 100 hours a week. It's nothing to me. Um,
Hmm.
so when I run into situations with other organizations and they don't have the same work ethic, it makes me kind of feel they don't have. I feel like they don't have what it takes to get to the next level. But also it makes me kind of weary about working in tandem with them. Um, because where I want to keep moving, they may slow down the progress. You know what I mean? But
Hmm.
this is just more of like a clientele base for us. And we obviously use their users to integrate with us. So, but I'm trying to like let's knock this out. We can get this done in 2 or 3 days. Let's not, why are we waiting?
Yeah, I know. Imagine working with the government. They
Oh
wait
my God.
for months and years.
I couldn't,
Why?
bro.
Because why the hell not?
Yeah, it makes no sense to me. But
Yeah.
um, and I think that just makes the difference between people who give up and people who just want to keep going.
Yep. It definitely is.
Yeah, but
Anyway, well, it's been nice talking to you.
absolutely
It was a
same,
great
man.
call.
Yeah, absolutely. The
Yeah.
conversation, but I think this is probably our best conversation we've ever had, honestly.
Except for the first one when we met. And I
Oh
thought you
yeah,
were
yeah,
somebody else.
absolutely. Yeah,
That was pretty funny. Remember
yeah,
that?
yeah. Bro, it's funny you bring that up because I was having a conversation actually with Andy about that, and I was like, you realize like when me and Anton actually got to talk, like actually talk, he thought I was someone else, and I thought he was someone else, and we hadn't been in chat with each other for years. Both of us thinking that we were somebody else. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it worked out though. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, it works. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, life is
yeah, yeah.
funny like that.
Yeah. But there's synergy there, and it's been working, so it's good, bro.
Yeah.
All
All
right,
right.
man.
Sounds good.
Till next time.
All
All right,
right.
man. Talk to you
Later.
soon. All right,
Bye.
bye.